You are a yummy donut. I love and appreciate you. I have a post here from May 2021. Friends, today we're going to look at a HEX poll. Where does the crowd think PulseChain and HEX is going to finish Thanksgiving 2024? As you can see, the highest percentage was selected at a 30x or higher from here. That's about 1 year from now. So where did we come from? Where did we go? Where did we come from? Cut Night Joe, you're my friends. Make sure you like, subscribe, bell button. Or this post that I made was right before the HEX pump. It was hated back then. Wow. Still is hated. I correctly identified HEX as the most hated coin. Back then, it was really hated. I mean, it's even hated now. It's still the most hated, easily. Now, there are influencers appearing today, but they say HEX and PulseChain is finally hated. They go, well, I think it's a bit of a hated coin. Yeah, well, you're 2.5 years behind. But at least they're trying to catch up. It's cute. So, where do we go from here? Well, this was my original post. I made many back then. All right. Now, HEX, major undervalued and has friendship ahead. This was the HEX ETH chart. See a word down here. You see, friends, this might be the future of Pulse and PulseX. There might be a lot of these sideways patterns that appear before we finally get that big blow off that we're looking for. You can see here, you see this, you had a wave up, crash. Wave up, crash. Wave up, crash. You see that? Let's count those rinses. That is 1, 2, 3. You see that? 1, 2, 3. Now, I know hexagons, what they're going to do is they're going to attach each cycle with the news event. They're going to say, well, this was the big payday, and then this was another thing, and this was that guy moving. Don't do that. You don't get anywhere in this game by trying to think this time is different because of this news event. Cycles repeat, the unicorns are in control, fairy dust, all the cosmos leaders, you understand? Now, you see that? 3 rinsing phases, which means it didn't just go up only. There was big ranges. So how does this translate to what we're looking at now? Well, it might be that PulseX and HEX in 2024 is going to have a big range period like that too. Maybe. I know it's very frustrating because, I mean, maybe you're looking at the prices now, you're like, oh my gosh, there's more pain to come. Yeah. What do you want me to say? You want me to say we're going to go up only? I don't know, friends, but I'm just telling you right now, this period, you see this? This is the period you're looking at. These periods here, okay? You can see it right here, friends. This is what I was looking at. 1, 2, 3, and then send off. Back when Bitcoin started breaking up the top. You can see right here. You can actually see right how, look at friends, this is actually what happened. HEX was not going up as Bitcoin was screaming. It was only after Bitcoin topped out that HEX started screaming. Now, some people say, this is what some people say, they believe that this move was Richard pumping it up because he took profit in Bitcoin or Ethereum or both, and it is what, that's what some people say. I don't know if it's going to repeat again like it is, but I want to tell you that when it comes to looking at these, you got to think of the theme. The theme is there's pumping and there's dumping, there's pumping, there's dumping. All right. So now that you've seen this, you don't have to feel FOMO in terms of, oh, I'm going to miss it, because you know there's a lot of pain that comes to the territory here. So there's people who are saying, well, HEX, maybe it's hated, maybe it's not. All right. You're trying to see where you can position yourself for maximum return ahead of the crowd. All right. Now, also, Mr. Crypto Mick has also asked me, if you had to pick one coin, what would it be, Pulse or PulseX? If you had to tell you, friends, just quickly, because they're all liquidity bonded, you could do what you want, but I'd probably just go 50-50 on Pulse and PulseX, just because their ratios are in between. You know, they have a ratio here, the ratio is in between. If the ratio was really high, Pulse, ratio is really low, PulseX is cheap. That's it. But ratio is in between. Seems like it's in between, okay? So this is the important thing to look at going forward. Also, it was funny, Rockinante, okay? I think he's a hater. I don't know if he's a friend of the channel. Maybe he is. Rockinante, never buy the same scam twice. Well, that's why I'm overweight Pulse and PulseX, friend. So it's funny, friends. People come in. They will always interpret these things with anything but a buy. That's just the game, friends. There are people who just love everything, right? They love whatever they're in. They're like, well, it could never get too expensive. So this is what happens, man. There's people who believe this thing can never get too cheap, and this thing can also never get too expensive. Those are the people that hang around the communities. They call them the haters and lovers, all right? But the people in the middle, they're not doing much. You know, you're watching my videos, you're hanging around, you're eating jelly beans, playing with your belly button. They're not like the passionate people that we go and flock to. So now it's very interesting, right? Now you get to see how it played out, what's going on. And that's what I want to prep you with this before we go and have a look at what happened in the previous polls. Now, I already made a video on this poll. What price does Combined HEX finish in December 2024 earlier, right? And most people had said below 10 cents, but you got to look at the weighted distribution with these. You know, they're roughly weighted the same. So if you do an even distribution, I mean, I've even got him right. If the crowd's 100x expectations are still the same, we would expect to see a rough even distribution of the poll numbers. So I did many posts and videos showing you that the crowd expects 100x from today in Pulse, PulseX, and HEX, etc., etc. Also, bonus post for your friends, and we're going to crank some pumpy music. 1 year ago, many surveys, they showed the most expected HEX price range was 25 cents. That's what everybody expected by the end of 2023 this year. Everyone expected 25 cents. Dead wrong. Really wrong. Okay, it finished minus 90% lower. Now, the year's not technically finished, but you get the point. It's around minus 90% lower. So we still had time to go from when I did this post, all right? So I guess we're going to look back and see, hey, was the crowd right or wrong this time? It's very interesting to see what goes on. Also, Mr. Onyx said, why look at the combined price? And that's because most of the crowd owns it. You can look at whatever you want, friends. I mean, we're making everything up as it goes. Just I want to look at the combined price because I know most people own both of them. That's why 95% of HEX owners, they own both EHEX and PHEX. Yeah, there's some tilt here and there, but that's what I want to see. So we did get kind of an even distribution. So the crowd is expecting roughly this 100x. Now it is tilted below 10 cents. You still have that, but you get the point. You can't get an exact number. So we can't just pick a point in the future and go, well, the crowd expected 10, so we're only going to get 3. It's never that perfectly linear, but you get an idea of where people think something is no longer cheap based off no emotions today. So this is where it gets juicy. It's always juicy, friends, isn't it? I asked everybody, what's your expectation of Pulse, PulseX, and HEX in 2024? Most people believed 30x or higher. Right? It's crazy. Okay, I even mentioned, here we go again. 1 year ago, the crowd expected 25 cents, as we just saw, was 90% lower. You can kind of see it here as well. If you type in HEX, you'll be able to visually see where everybody expected these things to go wrong. I even have what everyone expected was this to keep going up by the end of the year, which is right here. Everyone expected that green line, except we're at whack. So you see this probability tree? If you're standing here, I mean, look, no one for, well, we're dropping 90% from here. That's rough, you know. I know, friends. That's why you want to believe that, oh, if everyone expects here, why don't we just shoot it up? We can. Of course you can. It's just, here's the thing, man. When you're standing here, so this is why I'm telling you, if HEX is 20 cents again, and you're standing there, because you don't know what comes ahead. You're always looking forward in time. You're looking forward. You don't know what comes ahead. You just got to think, all right, how much more is there to go? Is there a chance there's nothing left to go? Those are the questions you have to ask yourself, because those are the questions people in Bitcoin are not asking themselves. People in Bitcoin at $80,000, they are not saying, well, golly gee, it could stop from here. No one's going to say that. That's precisely why you should be thinking, okay, if no one thinks that, well, it's a far, far deep drop if it does happen, all right? That's you got to think about these games. It really is just a game. And of course, one Richard Hart tweet, one sort of news event, just procs everything up again, and Bob's your uncle. So, look, it would be interesting if, look, I know this is crazy, right? many times the crowd, they were wrong by a factor of 10 with these. Like, it's brutal. So, I mean, look, I hope it doesn't happen, but technically it could happen, right? If everyone expects 30x or higher and you only get a 3x, which I know you're like, there is no way in 12 months we're just going to be up a 3x. Yeah, well, you might have said as well, you go back here, when Hex was 4 cents, there's no way we're going to drop another minus 75%, which is what we did, okay? So you don't know the future. So we're just preparing yourselves, friends. That's all you're doing. You're preparing yourselves for, all right, the crowd thinks this number. Can things change? Yes. Can you protect yourself? Yes. You can increase your bag size. There's many things you can do to play these. I also want to warn you something of this. But even though I say this, yes, you know, go, okay, where does the crowd think? It's very interesting to think that, okay, they think this is a price too high or price too low. By the way, when a crowd says we're going 30x or higher, what that means is, by the way, for Combined HEX, right? What it means is, you see they're 30 cents, for example, or they're 60 cents up here. What they're actually telling you is they think it's expensive at 20 cents to 25 cents. So even though they say we're going to be up here or higher, they've told you at here, they're not going to buy anymore. They've already decided it now. They've told you, well, you know, above 25 cents, Hex is no longer cheap. All right. There's exactly like Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin, everyone tells you 120K is a target. Yeah, well, they're not buying at 95K. No one's going to be buying there for months and months around 95K around there. So there is all this juicy information to gather. But I hope you take away from this one thing. Remember, I'm still DCA buying. I'm still adding to my bags. I don't know what the future holds, but I just know that, I'm not going to be caught with my pants down with the crowd. Make sure you like, subscribe, belly button, all. Don't forget who loves you. Me. Catch you soon.